הוא נולד וגדל בטורונטו, קנדה כל חייו. הוא מעריץ מושבע של ישראל, מגיש תוכנית יהודית בכבלים הקנדיים, והוא מאוד מאוד מעורה בכל הנושאים שקשורים אלינו. אבל יחד עם זאת הוא אף פעם לא היה בארץ, תאמינו או לא. מהבית שלו, כאן בדאונטאון בטורונטו, הוא עכשיו נמצא איתנו בשידור חי, ואני רוצה עכשיו לעבור לאנגלית ואני אגיד שלום to poet, TV producer, and host of the Jewish show here in Canada, Aiden Wall.
How you doing, man? It's so great to be with you today.
It's great to have you. Aiden, the first question I want to ask you is, why are you doing all this? Television, putting up with all the stress that it has to do with, you know, I mean, can you simplify it to like one line, why are you doing this?
I can. In 2 words, clinical insanity.
Okay. All right. That's a good start. Stay with us for the next half an hour with me and Aiden Wall. We're starting right now. Okay, here we are again. Aiden, how are you today?
I'm amazing. It's an honor to be with you, and I have to tell you, I've been following your Perspectives TV, and I do envy you. You don't have these TV executives breathing down your neck like.
Oh, listen, I you know how long I had them? I had them in for the last 30 years. This is the first time. But you know, my chief editors are the audience. That's what it's like now.
Yeah, and I don't have that luxury like you do, Ronan. But I will tell you that, you know, television, as we talked about a little bit away from the camera, television does have its advantages, and I love working. I love working with a big corporation, with Rogers and OMNI TV. It's got a lot of advantages, but like you said, you know, the audience, they're your editors, and it's a great luxury.
This is Canadian Jewish television.
What does your show stand for right now in general, but more specifically, how does it stand on Israel itself?
It's a wonderful question, Ronan, and I don't want to evade the question, but I do want to make it clear that, you know, Canadian Jewish television, we go, I wouldn't say out of our way, but we definitely stay away from the heat, right? The heat of the battle in terms of having a political position, right? So that's not what the show is about. Having said that, as you alluded to, there's so much going on in Israel. It is the homeland, and I make it very clear this year, Ronan, that we stand with Israel. We will always stand with Israel, with Israel's right to exist, self-determination, the right to defend itself, and we will go to great lengths this year, Ronan, to clear up misinformation and disinformation, lies,
and fake news. So much fake news these days. Yeah.
Propaganda. We're going to do our part, Ronan. I promise you that, but that's really not what the show is about.
Canadian Jewish television is the first Jewish show on OMNI television, I think, in the last 30 years. So why has 30 years? So why has not the Jewish community wasn't better represented on mainstream television here in Canada?
It's a tremendous question, and I've been spinning that question around for decades. Because keep in mind, I've been pitching this show to TV executives now for well over 15 years. Right? Wow. Every year I'd get a round of rejection letters. So yeah, I was shocked. And to answer your question, I just think, it's a really good question. I think it's always been a hot button here, and I think that the powers that be did not always support. We do not always support our own like we should here in Toronto and Canada. You know that. So, you know, I think the support just really wasn't in place. And it's just one of those things that you wonder why. Decades pass, and then the right proposal comes in. They said yes to me. And I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm just going to go forward, you know, full throttle ahead.
So what was the first season like? How were the reactions? What is the talk on the street about your show? Tell me a little bit about your first season experience and what you took from it to your second season.
Okay, so first season we launched it in the lockdown, and the lockdown, that made it like really, really difficult, as you know. We did have good guests come on. I had Robert Lantos, the movie mogul, Paul Godfrey, the publishing mogul, Mark Breslin, the comedy mogul. I mean, Dan Shulman, the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays. So I had big name guests come on the show, and people started to get to know the show for that reason, that, you know, I'd always be talking to celebrities. And, you know, my goal, Ronan, with the show was to have on big Jewish icons who would come on the show and they would speak about how proud they were.
Tell me about this guy. Who is this guy?
How'd you track that down? Was that Mossad at its best? What's going on here?
Who is this kid and what is he trying to do there? Tell me.
You know what's really scary, Ronan, is I actually look more mature there in that video. Well, I appreciate you tracking down that video. So the plans of that kid was to, to get on television and to have my own TV talk show. I was in the midst of a very difficult situation. My twin brother and I were living on our own. My parents had an ugly divorce. I was in a lot of pain, and I created this dream to escape the reality of my life. And I've been following that dream for over 30 years. Wow. And what I'm thinking now is, man, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Talking about, you just mentioned that you have a twin brother. Now, if some of our viewers are watching, let's say from Jerusalem, for example, and they look at this interview and they're thinking to themselves, we've seen this guy walking around the city. It's not you, it's your identical twin brother living in Jerusalem. Is that right?
Well, my brother was living in Jerusalem for about 5 years. That's right. But twins is really interesting because, he's not the outgoing twin. So I don't think he'd be embarrassing himself on television like I do.
And tell me, your twin was living in Israel. You are talking about Israel. You're living the Israeli Jewish experience, but you've never been to Israel. That's a little bit bizarre, I'll say. Why don't you take the first flight and just go there? Spend a month over there, What held you from going there until now?
I thought you were going to say, what the hell are you thinking?
What held you?
You said, what held you? What held me? Again, that's another anomaly. It's another paradox. It's another mystery of my life. It's a really good question, but I do plan on going. It's something you don't want to put off for sure. But I want to say to you, when you have a twin brother, Ronan, you live vicariously through your twin brother. So, it was almost, I know this sounds weird. I don't know if you have any twins in the family, but you live vicariously through your twin brother. So I felt like it was osmosis. I really felt like I had the experience. And he would be calling me every day and reporting everything to me. And I really felt like I was there. But you're right, there's no substitute. And so, if LL is watching or Israeli tourism.
Air Canada, there's also Air Canada.
Birthright.
Oh, Birthright, yeah. Version. You have your own Birthright and you've never used it.
The 40-year-old version of Birthright. I don't care how you're going to get me there, guys. Get me to Israel. I got to go to Israel very soon. I agree with you totally. And up until then, I'm certainly taking great pride in keeping in touch through videos and everything.
Right. Aiden, there's a segment on your show now that you walk around in the street and you hassle people. That's how I'll call it. What is that sequence all about? Tell me.
Ronan, this is really exciting. I started off, many years ago doing a segment on community television called Off the Wall with Eden Wall. And I would go onto the streets and I would just be man on the street. I would just be unscripted, unhinged, unadulterated. And I would just be talking to strangers. And I had the time of my life. I won a few Ontario Cable Awards for that. And I've been hankering to do it again. But with the pandemic last year, I couldn't get out onto the streets. So this year, I'm going out doing my I'm resurrecting my Man on the Street act, and it's called The Art of Conversation. And you're right, I'm on the streets making conversations with everyday strangers, and it's really exciting. I just love talking to strangers, and I know you do too, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know.
What subjects are you talking about, and did you find any difficulties now during COVID?
It's Ronan. It's harder, and I don't know if you've been doing interviewing lately, but the whole social climate has changed so much, and there's a lot of fear out there. So to answer your question, it really is harder. It's always a springboard for me to disarm them, to get in close, and then to try to draw out from them what's going on in their life and how I can help them. So I'm kind of like an amateur psychologist out there.
Okay, who has his own TV show.
Who has his own TV show.
Yeah.
It's going to be on OMNI TV here in Toronto, right across Ontario. And of course, people can get it online. Now, this is very exciting. We're actually moving to prime time this season. So it's going to be Saturday at 10 p.m. on OMNI television, and it's my move from late night to prime time. So I think it's going to be fun because my hope is that right after people light the Havdalah candles, they can just tune on. Right, they can tune on Canadian Jewish television. So I think
that'll
it's going to be
nice.
a great way.
Okay, Aiden Wall, I want to thank you for this short conversation about doing Jewish television here in Toronto, and I want to wish you good luck, Mazel Tov, be'atzlacha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Roy, and good luck
on
with
your show
too.
Yeah, of course, and I'm looking forward to seeing it very soon. Take care, Aiden. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.